Look, I ain't gonna lie to you. This ain't a campfire story. This ain't some fictional boogeyman crap you forget about when the credits roll. This is a receipt, a tally of a debt I can never repay, and a warning about the one thing in this world you should never, ever do. You don't know me. My name doesn't matter. But if you've ever been broke, truly, soul-crushingly broke, you might understand the kind of corner I was in. The kind of corner that makes a man consider things he'd never normally consider. See, there's a rule, an unspoken one, passed down in hushed tones by guys who've seen the darker side of the city. Guys with hollow eyes and missing fingers. They whisper it in dive bars that smell of stale beer and regret. They say you can borrow from the sharks. You can owe a favor to the mob. You can even welch on a bet with a cop. But you never, under any circumstances, take the midnight ticket. The midnight ticket ain't a literal ticket. It's a deal, a transaction. You get a single desperate wish granted. Money, usually. A life-altering sum, just enough to solve that one catastrophic problem that's about to bury you. The catch? You don't know what you're paying with. The price is a surprise. Delivered exactly 1 year to the minute after you accept the money. They call it the reckoning. My reckoning was tonight. A year ago, my wife Sarah was sick. The kind of sick that comes with a pile of medical bills so high it could blot out the sun. We were drowning. The bank was foreclosing on our little row house in Fishtown. We'd already sold anything of value. And I was staring at the cold, hard reality of losing her. Not to the cancer, but to my own failure. I couldn't save her. That's the poison that eats a man from the inside. I heard about the ticket from a sweaty, twitchy guy named Marty who hung around the off-track betting parlor. He'd been flush once for about 11 months. He wouldn't tell me what his reckoning was. Just showed me the nubs, where his left pinky and ring finger used to be, and told me to run. The other way. But when you're desperate, warnings sound like invitations. The meeting place was a condemned warehouse down by the Delaware River, a place that smelled of rust, rot, and river mud. The man I met wasn't a man at all, not really. He was tall and gaunt, dressed in a suit that was too perfectly tailored, too clean for the surroundings. He called himself Mr. Silas. He didn't smile. His eyes were the color of a dead computer screen, flat and dark. "The sum is $1.87 million, he said, his voice like dry leaves skittering across pavement. "It will clear your debts and secure the experimental treatment for your wife. The reckoning will occur at 11:59 p.m. on this exact date 1 year hence. You will be alone. You will accept the price. There are no negotiations. There are no returns." I didn't hesitate. I signed the paper he produced, a thick yellowed parchment that felt like skin. There was no pen. I pricked my thumb with a pin he offered, and the blood soaked into the page, vanishing as if it had never been. The next morning, the money was there. All of it. In an offshore account I never set up. Sarah got her treatment. It worked. The house was saved. For 11 months and 29 days, I lived in a state of blissful, terrified grace. We were happy. Genuinely happy. The shadow of Mr. Silas was a faint smudge on an otherwise perfect horizon. I almost convinced myself I'd dreamed the whole thing. Almost. Today, the fear came back. It started as a low hum in my blood, a vibration of pure dread that built with every passing hour. By noon, I was jumpy. By dinner, I could barely swallow the food Sarah had lovingly prepared. She knew something was wrong, of course she did. I told her I had a migraine, a lie that tasted like ash in my mouth. "Go lie down, baby," she said, her hand cool on my forehead. "I'll clean up." I went to my study, the room where I'd first opened the laptop and seen the life-saving numbers. The digital clock on my desk glowed 11:45 p.m. 14 minutes. I was sweating, my heart a frantic bird beating against my ribs. I checked the locks on the windows. I drew the blinds. I was a prisoner in my own home, awaiting a sentence from a judge I'd never see. 11:55. The house was silent. Too silent. The usual creaks and groans of the old structure had ceased. It was as if the world was holding its breath. 11:58. A single cold drop of sweat traced a path down my spine. My mouth was desert dry. 11:59. The clock flipped. Midnight. Nothing happened. I stood there, frozen, listening to the frantic thump of my own heart. 1 second, 2, 5, 10. A wild, giddy hope began to bloom in my chest. Was it a bluff? Was it over? Had I gotten away with it? Then the smell hit me. It was the smell from the warehouse. Rust, rot, and river mud. It blossomed in the center of my study, thick and choking, overpowering the scent of old books and lemon polish. And then it was just there. Not Mr. Silas, this was different. This was the collector. It was a shifting man-shaped void, a darkness so absolute it seemed to suck the light from the room. It had no face, no features, just a terrifying, silent presence that radiated a cold that went deeper than bone. It didn't move toward me. It just stood, waiting. My mind screamed. Every primal instinct told me to run, to fight, to scream. But the rules were clear. You will be alone. You will accept the price. The thing, the collector, raised a hand that was more a suggestion of a limb than a real arm. It didn't point at me. It pointed through the wall, in the direction of our bedroom, where Sarah was sleeping. A sound finally escaped my lips, a choked, guttural no. The collector's head tilted, a gesture of cold, alien curiosity. Then it began to move. It didn't walk. It glided, passing through my solid oak desk like it was smoke. It was heading for the door. "No!" I shouted, finding my voice. "Take me. The deal was with me. Take my eyes, my hands, take whatever you want. Just leave her alone." The collector paused, its form shimmering for a second. It turned its non-face toward me, and in that moment, I felt the intelligence so vast and so utterly indifferent it made my knees buckle. It wasn't about fairness. It wasn't about the deal. The price was never about equal value. It was about maximum impact. It was about taking the thing that would truly, irrevocably break you. It turned back and flowed through the closed study door without a sound. I scrambled after it, yanking the door open, my breath catching in my throat. The hallway was empty. The dread was a physical weight on my back, crushing me. I ran to our bedroom, my feet slipping on the hardwood floor. The door was ajar. I pushed it open. Sarah was in bed, the covers pulled up to her chin. She was sleeping peacefully, her face serene in the soft glow of her salt lamp. For a heart-stopping second, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe it had just been a warning. Then I saw it. Standing on her side of the bed, the collector loomed over her. It was bending over, its formless head dipping toward her face. It wasn't touching her. It was inhaling. A faint, shimmering, silver wisp of something drifted up from Sarah's slightly parted lips. It was beautiful and terrible, like liquid starlight. It streamed into the void where the collector's mouth should have been. Sarah didn't stir. She didn't gasp or struggle. She just sighed. A soft, contented little sigh, the kind she makes when she's having a pleasant dream. The stream of silver light continued for maybe 10 seconds. Then it stopped. The collector straightened up. It seemed fuller, more substantial. It turned and glided toward the wall, melting through it and vanishing. The smell of rust and rot faded. I stood there frozen, my hand still on the doorknob. The room was silent except for the soft, rhythmic sound of Sarah's breathing. She was still there. Her body was warm, her heart was beating. Relief, so potent it was dizzying, washed over me. They hadn't taken her. They'd taken something else. A memory? A year of her life? I didn't care. She was here. She was alive. I stumbled to the bed and collapsed to my knees beside her, grabbing her hand. It was warm. I pressed it to my cheek, tears of sheer, unadulterated relief streaming down my face. "Sarah," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Baby, are you okay?" Her eyelids fluttered open. She looked at me. She blinked. And in that moment, my world ended for the second time that night. Her eyes. They were her eyes. The same shade of hazel I'd fallen in love with. But they were empty. The light, the fire, the wicked intelligence, the deep, abiding love, it was all gone. They were just eyes, windows to a house where no one was home. I stumbled to the bed and collapsed to my knees beside her, grabbing her hand. It was warm. I pressed it to my cheek, tears of sheer, unadulterated relief streaming down my face. "Sarah," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Baby, are you okay?" Her eyelids fluttered open. She looked at me. She blinked. And in that moment, my world ended for the second time that night. Her eyes. They were her eyes. The same shade of hazel I'd fallen in love with. But they were empty. The light, the fire, the wicked intelligence, the deep, abiding love, it was all gone. They were just eyes, windows to a house where no one was home. She smiled. It was Sarah's smile, the one that crinkled the corners of her eyes. But it was wrong. It was a puppet's smile, a perfect imitation without the soul behind it. "Hello?" she said. Her voice was the same pitch, the same Philly accent, but it was flat, monotone, a recording. "Sarah?" I choked out, my grip on her hand tightening. "Do you know who I am?" She tilted her head, the same gesture the collector had made. "You are my husband," she said, the words correct but devoid of any feeling. "Your name is David. We live at 1244 Lambert Street. We have been married for 7 years." She knew the facts. She had the data. But the woman I loved, the one who knew my fears without me speaking them, the one who could make me laugh with a single look, the one whose love had been my anchor through every storm, she was gone. The collector hadn't taken her life. It had taken her essence, her soul, whatever you want to call the spark that makes a person who they are. It had left the shell, a perfect, breathing, functioning shell that contained all of Sarah's memories, but none of her spirit. That was 5 years ago. I still live with her, the thing that looks like Sarah. I take care of her. I cook her meals. I make sure she's clean and dressed. She follows a simple routine. She watches television, but I don't think she sees it. She reads books, but I know the words don't connect. She's a beautiful, breathing monument to my sin. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I'll wake up and she'll be standing by the window, just staring out at the darkness. And for a fleeting second, I'll see a shadow of the woman I knew in the slope of her shoulders, and my heart will leap into my throat. I'll whisper her name, hoping, praying that this is the moment the light returns to her eyes. She always turns, offers that hollow, perfect smile and says, "Is everything all right, David?" The doctors called it a rare form of post-traumatic amnesia, a psychological break from the stress of her illness. They said I was a saint for staying with her. They don't know about the midnight ticket. They don't know about the reckoning. I got my money. I saved my wife's life. And in return, I live every single day in a private hell, a gilded cage of my own making. I am the ghost in this house, haunted by the living corpse of my greatest happiness. The debt is paid. The collector got what it came for, and I am left with the one thing worse than losing her. I am left with the reminder. So, if you ever find yourself in a dark corner, if you ever hear a whisper about a way out, about a midnight ticket, you run. You run so fast and so far that the wind screams in your ears, because the price is never what you think. It's always what you can't bear to lose. And they always collect.